guys, welcome back to the Vegan Perspective. So today I want to do something a little bit different. I know normally I do videos that are more documentary style or commentary style, but I came across this video by David Rams. If you don't know who David Rams is, he is an animal rights activist. He's predominantly, I believe, in the UK. He's done videos with Joey Carbstrong, Jamie Logan, and other UK-based animal rights activists out there. So he posted this video, what happened when I asked a vegan influencer these tough questions. I kind of want to go into this blind because I want to give my own opinion on what some of these questions that he's going to ask this influencer, which I believe is Daniel Ishai. He goes by Lifting Vegan Logic on his social media platforms. So I kind of want to use this as a test to see how well I understand the philosophy of veganism and also be more prepared for when these questions, if they ever come up in any sort of conversations that I have with people that are not vegan, and give my own take, my own perspective on what some of these questions might mean to me specifically. I know that it might seem confusing because what's the point of a vegan talking to another vegan or asking another vegan these tough questions? But I think it's important because there are a lot of times where you'll see on social media a post in a vegan Facebook group or a vegan Instagram page about whether it be about riding horses or I'm vegan, but I eat from this restaurant that cooks their food on the same stovetop or same grill as animal meat that makes it not vegan. So there's a big discourse even between vegans themselves sometimes. I think that these types of conversations are helpful to further steer people who are vegan but still don't fully understand the difference between what veganism actually is and help not portray veganism in a negative light, because I think when the average person sees that two vegan people cannot even agree on something, that it only further perpetuates that veganism is bad. Vegans are crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. I want to watch this video not only because I do respect David Rams and I respect his content, and he's obviously been doing activism way longer than me. I want to watch this video and take in any knowledge that I can from these questions. I'll never really have the opportunity to engage with some of these, at least not currently, to engage with these really popular vegan activists like David Rams or Jamie Logan or Joey Carbstrong or Hench Herbivore. But at least this is my way of cheating the system and pretending as if David Rams was asking me these questions, because I think I do want to be more prepared for these types of conversations. So with that being said, let's get into the video. Let's get into the first question and see what David Rams has to ask.
Here for people.
Right.
Yeah.
So, dude, awesome to actually meet you in person and to do this together and
Yeah.
hang out a little bit, make some videos, make some content. I actually,
Also, how crazy it is that this squirrel is just chilling on the bench with them and nobody even cares to acknowledge it. It must have been there for a while. I just think it's cute and funny that this squirrel is just kind of chilling on the bench with them, enjoying this conversation.
question is, Danny, why do you make videos about veganism and animal rights?
So I'm going to answer the question first on my end, and then I'll play snippets on what Daniel has to say after I give my take. I don't want to completely take away from David Ram's content, so I'll post a link to this video in the comment section below if you want to watch the full video and see what Daniel himself has to say. I say that the reason why I do videos like this is, for the longest time, I considered myself a vegan, and I would see people, they would go to bear witness to animals that are going to be sent to slaughter. I would see people do their own form of activism when it comes to veganism, whether it be being a bodybuilder to break the stigma that if a vegan can't build muscle, or people outside of storefronts with picket signs boycotting fur or the slaughter of innocent animals for meat. I never really considered myself to be that type of person to be out there, screaming, fighting for the animals. And it would oftentimes make me feel like I wasn't being a good vegan because I wasn't out there vocally fighting for the animals, even though when I have friends and family members ask me about it, I do try to educate them on the matter as much as I can to persuade them. It made me feel like I was a hypocrite because I said I care about animals, but I would eat animals or wear their skin. And it wasn't until, I'm not sure which activists had mentioned it, is they had said that, everybody has their own voice, their own form of activism. And as long as you're doing something that helps bring awareness to the fact that these animals are being exploited and killed on such a large scale, that's your form. That can be your way to fight for the animals. So I make these videos because not only do I fight for the animals through wearing a bunch of vegan t-shirts and tank tops to my gym, I think that it's a way for me to output all these mental ideas that I don't typically have the capabilities to put out there because of lack of a vegan community on where I live. I make these videos because it helps with decompressing the thoughts that go through my mind when I watch these videos or when I watch debates or when I engage with people who are anti-vegan and things like that. So if there's a way that I can help bring more content into the world to bring more awareness for these animals, to get people to stop eating them or stop supporting these industries, I'm going to do what I can. So that's the reason why I make these videos, and that's why this channel now exists, and I've been doing content for the better of 2 weeks. So hopefully with more to come. So if you enjoy the videos and you find my videos engaging and entertaining, I suggest please subscribe, leave a like, comment, and I'm going to do more videos like this in the future. So let's play some brief clips of Daniel's response to this question.
Yeah, well, I think it's one of the most important causes to make videos about. I think that the scale of oppression that animals go through is just like unlike any other means of oppression I see in the world. We kill animals at a rate.
Yeah, so I'll just say that I agree. That's more of a worldwide scale on why making videos or making content about veganism is important. I just took a more personalized approach or a personalized response to David's question. So let's go ahead and see what his next question is going to be.
And I think there's a huge education gap here that we have to fight against. So I'm going to ask you a follow-up question to this. Why, obviously animals are at the highest, they're abused and killed and mutilated and all these things at the highest scale of any animal on the planet, humans obviously included. We are animals, by the way, if you didn't know. But why is it important when it comes to non-human animals? Because obviously we all know why it's important not to do these things to humans, but why do you care so much about non-human animals?
I mean, put very simply, there's
For me, I think the reason why it's more important that we care about these non-human animals is the fact that these are innocent animals that cannot defend nor communicate for themselves. I watch these videos of animals in animal agriculture, and I can only just imagine what's going through their mind as they're being slaughtered. You could see the fear in their eyes, and they can't communicate to us verbally what they're feeling. But just like when we see a dog that gets scared, or say somebody hits a cat or a dog and you see them cower in fear, in the same way that we feel terrible when we see other humans go through pain, whether it be emotionally or physically, we can understand and empathize with them better because we share the same forms of communication. So we can see the pain on their face. We can understand when they tell us the type of mental or physical abuse that they've faced in their lives. And these animals can't do that. They can't do it verbally, right? But they can show it in ways that we can understand. So the reason why I think it's the most important thing in regards to them being non-human animals is because they go through so much suffering, and they can't defend themselves. They're just, we pray and we farm these defenseless animals. They spend their entire existence only living to be turned into a sandwich or a purse. To keep it simple, it's just the fact that these animals have no way to communicate nor fight for themselves. And that's why I think it's important that we speak up for them, because they can't. So let's see what Daniel has to say about this.
About non-human animals.
I mean, put very simply, they're sentient beings. They have a subjective experience, and I think that in the same way with humans, that we want humans to flourish, feel well-being, and avoid suffering, I have the same position toward non-human animals. If if animals were not sentient, or they were like a rock, I probably wouldn't really care what happens to them. Also,
But how do we know they're not rocks? Because that I'm being plain devil's advocate here, but I think
Sure.
like literally we need to go back that far. Someone watching this will just be saying, "Well, animals, they don't think they're like computers. They just, How do we know that's not the case?"
So I'm glad I said what I said in response to his first question. There are ways that even if we weren't scientists, that we can tell that they're not rocks. We know through having them as pets for hundreds of years, when they show certain types of traits or behaviors, what they're essentially on the base level feeling, right? If a dog has its tail between its legs, it's scared. If a dog is wagging its tail, it's happy. There's subsurface actions that these animals do that we already understand as humans what they essentially mean. And if a cow or a pig can show those same traits, how can you sit there and say that these cows or these chickens or these pigs, they don't have personalities, they're nothing, they're just something, they're not individuals, they don't have individual personalities, and they don't have sentience, and they don't feel the same way that dogs do when they show visually the same sort of characteristics and traits that these other animals that we don't eat do, right?
Yeah, I mean, we probably don't have time to get into a whole neuroanatomy lecture here, but when it comes to inferring whether another being is sentient, you have to get a little bit into philosophy and look into what our structures are like in our brain and see what behaviors they exhibit, how much they match beings that we presumably believe have sentience, like human beings.
Yeah.
Look at our brains and whatnot, and from what I've seen, the research on sentience or whatever, or how we can infer consciousness in other beings, always comes back to the brain and having an area to where where pain and all this can be experienced. There's even people with phantom limb syndrome, where
Right.
they feel pain in a limb that they actually don't even have anymore.
Yeah.
And this
So I'm not going to play all of Daniel's response, otherwise this video is going to be an hour long. But as he's going into his thoughts on this question, I've learned that who you're talking to as an activist is going to affect the way that you try to communicate with them. Obviously, everything that Daniel is saying is scientifically proven and correct, right? Having a central nervous system, having a brain means that you can feel pain and such and such. So if we share those similarities or those brain functions and nerve endings as these animals, how could they not feel pain, right? But I've learned that if you're having a conversation with someone, you have to know how to almost read the room, in that if I'm the type of person or an activist to just throw statistics out there, but the person that I'm talking to isn't responsive to that sort of conversation, then I need to change my tactic and talk to them in a way that they will better understand. So every person that you engage with is going to respond in a different way. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with what Daniel's saying, but I've learned that I try to start from a base level, which I think David Rams is kind of asking, start from level of understanding in its simplest form. And if it goes in that direction where they start bringing up things like, oh, well, how do you know a plant can't feel pain? Then you kind of have to whip out the science book and talk about how, well, they don't have a central nervous system, so how can grass feel pain? it's nothing that Daniel said wrong. It's just something that I wanted to bring up because I've noticed over the years as a vegan and having different conversations with different people that everybody responds in a different way. And sometimes you might say something to one person which could be scientifically true, right? And they don't want to believe it. But if you meet them at their level and engage with a conversation that they better understand, you have a better chance of convincing or reaching out to that person than just knowledge dumping on top of them. So, like I said, nothing wrong with Daniel's response, just something that I wanted to kind of get across and throw out there. So let's continue to the next question.
You know?
Yeah, I have actually been thinking about this a bit as well, and I think with human rights movements, when you look at them and people ask, well, how did they succeed, right? Because civil rights succeeded, women's rights succeeded, LGBT rights have succeeded, and the majority of the world, these rights movements have succeeded. Or at least in the majority of, well, in the most of the Western world, and is it the majority of the actual world? Let's just focus on the West.
Sure.
In the West, they succeeded. Why is that exactly? And I think a large part of that is because people looked at those individuals, and even though they degraded them in one way or another, they still acknowledged that, oh, that's a person, right? This person is still a person. Even if I don't think they're worthy of having the right to vote, they're still a person. And I think when it comes to animals, people don't see them in the same way. They don't say that's a person, apart from some exceptions, like a dog, right? People look at a dog and they say, that's my dog, his name's James. And actually we have a lot in common. How often have you heard people say that? I have a lot in common with my dog or my cat.
Very often.
Right? Because they acknowledge, they go, that's a person though. That's not an it. My dog is a person, my cat is a person, and I know them inside out. They have this amazing personality and I love them. And then lo and behold, dogs and cats have all these rights, and people would never want them to be harmed and would never pay for them to go into a slaughterhouse. And even countries that have historically done these things to dogs are now banning it because of the, I reckon it's because of that reason, right? So to answer the question I asked you for myself, why do we even care about animals? Well, because every single cow, pig and chicken is just as much a person as the dog that you would fight to the death for. The difference being that dogs evolved over millennia to interact with humans, right? So they know how to push your buttons and they look you in the eye and they show you emotion and feelings so you can say, oh, there's a person here. But a cow doesn't do that, and a chicken doesn't do that, and a set of pigs don't necessarily do that either, because pigs are really smart and they could do that. But they've not had all these years with humans to learn this behavior like dogs have, like wolves had, right?
Yeah, they weren't really bred to help us in the way that...
I really like that point that David made. It's not even something that I considered. I think what I said in response to his question is almost relatively the same to what he's saying as when he answers the question for himself. But I never thought to consider that dogs have almost, in the same way that people always say, well, a dog is a man's best friend because we've had them by our side for so many years. I've never thought about it from the animal's perspective that the dog has learned to understand us, and that even though a cow or a pig could show the same emotions as a dog to us, they haven't been around us in that environment to exhibit that sort of behavior. I mean, they've been around for just as long, but they've been on, unfortunately, on that side of the road where we kill them and slaughter them for food. So I wonder if we had not done that in the first place, if these cows and pigs have, just like dogs, have evolved to kind of engage with humans more and shown more, almost opened up more of that side of them to us. And it actually makes me a little bit sad, because I think when I see cows and pigs and when I go to a sanctuary and I interact with them, like I feel I feel connected to them, in that, in the same way that when you go over to a person's house and you build a relationship and you start to connect with their dog, but it's not there, right? Because these rescued animals, it's not as easy for them to open up to you, because these animals are rescued from conditions that have tortured them or put them in uncomfortable positions for the better first half of their entire life. And that's something that the person that runs the sanctuary that I last visited made a point to make, that you have to understand that these animals come from a place of exploitation and torture. So they're not going to just walk up to you happy, because their image of what we are to them is an abuser, right? So I actually really like that extra bit that David Rams added at the end, because it's something that I never actually considered, and it almost makes me sad, because I would have loved to been alive that lifetime where cows and pigs get the same treatment of dogs and same rights, and you can interact more with these animals in the way that you would a cat or a dog, and they would be as responsive, because it's a very obviously the same way that you feel loved and affection from your dog. It would be amazing to get that same sort of love and affection from a cow, because they deserve it, and they deserve that sort of respect. So let's get to the next question.
When it comes to the things that matter, the reasons that people don't want to hurt dogs, it's the same reasons you shouldn't want to hurt a cow, a pig, or a chicken, or any other farmed animal. But people draw a distinction, and I think that distinction comes down to, well, a dog is more of a person than a cow in people's minds.
Yeah.
But the reality is that no, they're both
Yeah.
people. There's a person inside every single cow, and there's a person inside every single dog. Just like I said, just the cow has not figured out the way to show you that, right? You have to really look for it, because they don't really give a crap about humans most of the time, but dogs do. Dogs run to you, they show you like, hey, I love you, please, give me some food, like I'm your best mate. Cows don't. Cows can do that, do that, but who's going to go to a shelter to go look at cows? Who's going to have a cow in their home? Not many bloody people, right? And so that's why you make videos on this. That's why you choose to focus on this, and that is absolutely why I choose to focus on this. And the beauty of what we do is we're not asking anyone to do what we do. This is the weird thing about it. All we go out and try to get people to do is to simply take their money and just buy other awesome shit with their money, instead of the food and the products that come from these places, and do this to animals. It's not like you end up having to go, oh, now all I have to eat is rice and beans. It's like, no, go and buy cool food and stuff that you like, and tasty stuff and cool clothes or whatever. Just go and buy everything you want. Just cut all this animal abuse out, right? That's all we ask, to start making like you 5 videos a day, or or travel the world and expose farms or whatever it is. And that's not even the ask, right?
There's so many options available now, food wise, clothing wise. Pillows no longer used. A lot of pillow companies now use down alternatives. Jackets use recycled plastic instead of down. A lot of these fur companies have ditched fur and faux fur. There's so many different alternatives now out there, food wise too, that what justification can you use other than your own selfish desire for a certain specific taste? If you just want to eat animals because you like the taste of it, then that's a desire in the sense of pleasure. You just want the pleasure of something, the way something tastes. And what David Ram says is perfectly valid. We're not asking for you to only eat grass and rice and beans and salad for the rest of your life. We're just asking that when you go to the grocery store and you see a gallon of cow's milk, and you see a gallon of oat milk, almond milk, soy milk, rice milk, flax milk, all these different types of milks, why not just choose the one that doesn't involve the exploitation and abuse of an animal? When you go to the store and you see 100% lean ground beef burger patties, and then you see Beyond Meat, Impossible Meat, and a lot of these stores now even have their own, generic meat alternatives. Why not just pick that one? You season it the same way, you cook it almost the same way, and it tastes almost the same, except nobody had to die for it. So yeah, I completely agree with what David is saying here. So let's see if we could get to the next question.
I remember
all we do is talk about animal rights, talk about veganism, give people the steps that they can take to go vegan today, give them the support. Challenge22.com, challenge22.com. Get free support from volunteers who just want to help you go vegan. Why the hell would we do all of that if we want to stay superior to you? It's not the case. No. We want everyone to be better for animals. We want everybody on Team Vegan. That's the goal, not to be exclusive. We're not exclusive. We're the most inclusive. We want every bloody meat eater in the world to join us. No matter where you come from, no matter what you got going on in your life, I couldn't care less about who you are. I just want you to join us on this, and please help
obviously
animals.
unless who you are is like something horrible.
Yeah, and I think To jump back to the first question on why do these videos for the animals, I think just like David said, we want everybody to be team vegan. It's not about ego. It's not about being better than anybody. It's about being better for the animals. I think a lot of people really care about animals and really don't want to see animals being tortured or suffering or going through pain. But we don't know what these animals go through. The people that pay for these industries to continue on don't understand the full ramifications of what they're supporting with their money when they buy these products. So yeah, we definitely want everybody to go team vegan. So with that being said, that's David Rams's video. I didn't play the majority of it because a lot of it was just a back and forth discussion. I don't want to take away from David's content. I just wanted to almost imagine that I was in Daniel's position. Answer these questions from a content creator that I respect for myself and see how that kind of would go and how that went. And I think I'm pretty happy with that. So I suggest if you want to see the full video, go to David's channel and watch it so you can see Daniel's response and see the interactions between them. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel. It helps me a lot. It's going to motivate me to make more videos, even though I'm going to probably make them anyway because I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for the animals. And check out Daniel's channel too, Lifting Vegan Logic. I think it's the same handle across all his social media platforms. And like I said, if you enjoyed the video, click subscribe, comment in the comment section below your thoughts. Keep it respectful, and I'll see you in the next video.